this meeting to order at 7 p.m. Welcome to the October meeting of the Douglas Library Board of Trustees. We have a quorum, so we're all set with that. Ellie sent out minutes from September, if everyone received those. Are there any questions or corrections or anything on that?
No. Looks good.
If there are not, I'd entertain a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Seconded.
Need a second?
I said I would entertain
I
a motion.
seconded it. I seconded it.
Somebody needs to make the motion
Okay,
first.
all right.
All right, so, all right,
It's out of order,
Oh.
but.
okay. Treasurer's report.
I'm still looking for this email.
Okay.
Treasurer's report is on the first page of the packet you have there. On the top left, you have the operational cash flow from our town budget so far in the year. We're on track with everything where we would expect it to be.
Mhm.
Special account cash flow is on the right-hand side. So still not much different. We've spent $3,333 this year. And the special account balances are on the bottom right next to the corgi.
Why is the corgi there?
Just
Why
for
not?
fun, right?
This is
Just
a
for
bonus
fun.
It's a bonus corgi.
They're so silly looking. Oh, short legs.
I can't find this email.
Well, you have till, a while.
And I know I sent it to you and you and you.
Yeah. I'm not there.
And some of you even responded. And I found it like that on
I
my
probably won't
computer, but I
have it
can't find it on my phone.
Email, when was that sent out?
Soon after October 5th.
Yeah, it was to the friends telling them how much
Oh, okay.
he collected and stuff.
Because
Oh, yeah,
I
you
don't
have
throw
it,
anything
too.
away.
I just file everything, so it's.
I don't
probably
throw
here, but-
anything away either, but my phone only automatically syncs the last so many days of my
Right,
email.
that's how
Right.
much.
I got it.
I've got
Book
what's in my
sale
inbox.
conclusion email?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
that one.
Yes, I have it.
Yes.
Okay,
forwarded to
I
me.
got the answer, so.
Oh, well, never mind. Never mind.
Too fast.
Are we good with the treasurer's report? Are there explanations or anything that needs to be done? Explanations? I think, so the fines of $567, that is for, oh, from July 1st, okay.
Mhm.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, sending out letters is proving to be worth it.
Oh, that's what you did send that.
Okay. That's cool. And, under expenses, the replacement equipment of $990.
That was the CW Mars
Okay,
route.
okay. Right. Are we good with it? Everybody good? Okay, let's move on quickly to the director's report.
Director's report. The backs of the pages, I borrowed a trick from the chess bros and using recycled paper.
Yeah,
So
very
everyone
good.
has
Is
that
something
what's
different on the
happening?
second
Oh.
page.
Because I'm looking like, I don't have that on my back.
So the next one, director's report. The big thing we have to report this week is I was on vacation and I drank 37 cups of coffee in Seattle.
So he's ready to go.
But after a lot of sort of stomping feet and trying to get the way overdrive works changed, and we've talked about this before, how whenever we buy an overdrive license, it remains exclusive to our patrons for a year. And then it kicks to the consortium, which is a bad deal all around because, and I've all got all this written out in the thing, Ellie, so you don't
Okay.
have to.
Right.
Um,
Put a star next to it.
But anyway, the license would be exclusively ours for a year, and then they would turn over to the consortium for anyone at CWMRs to use. So for that first year, Douglas patrons may use it, and then it might sit unused for 6 months, which is not good for the rest of the consortium. Once it kicked to the consortium, we lost all ownership of it, which was not good for us. So we're switching, CWMRs collectively is switching from the Advantage program to the Advantage Plus program. So now I can choose if and when to kick titles to the consortium. So like if there's titles I want to just remain exclusively accessible to Douglas patrons, they can remain so. If there's titles that we don't want that for, like if it's a 12-month license that's going to expire and none of our people are using it, somebody might as well, then we can go ahead and kick it to the consortium, but we retain it as part of our Advantage collection even though we have shared it. So if a Douglas patron puts that item on hold, you know, forever, there will be like a separate holds queue specifically for our patrons on that title.
That's prioritized?
That's prioritized. So if we have an Advantage title, there's 86 holds waiting on 27 copies in the system. Douglas places it. As soon as our license gets checked in, it will go to the next Douglas patron instead of the next CWMR's patron.
That's
So
nice.
this
That's
is
cool.
great. This has me very happy, and I have an
Yeah.
entirely new administrative dashboard with statistics, and now I'll be able to see how much other libraries are using titles we've bought, because, you know, that matters. It matters in the print world because, you know, we're trading our collections all over the place.
Right.
You know, we buy things and they circ all over the state, and, you know, that's a stat we track. And now we'll be able to track that stat for electronic licenses we buy as well. So, yeah, that makes me happy.
Do you get credit for that? I mean, it used to be if you, for net lending statistics, does that?
I don't think it ties into the net lending statistics for the resource sharing on the ERIS grant distribution. What I'm toying with, and I'm still trying to decide whether it's a good idea, is asking if, because, you know, a significant part of the CWMR's assessment is overdrive. You know, it's the ebook fee. If a library kicks so many licenses to the consortium, should that count against the library's consortial overdrive fee, is a question I'm tempted to ask. The danger in asking that is then what if every library in CWMRs switches to the Advantage program, starts buying stuff and hoarding it for their patrons instead of sharing with the network, because that would be detrimental overall.
So you, Douglas belongs to this Advantage Plus program, but not all the libraries.
Not all the libraries. We bought in back 2 years ago, I think, when it was possible to enroll in the Advantage program by buying like a certain threshold of books. Like it was like $1,000 worth of licenses or something like that. And usually the threshold is a lot higher. Like if you want to open up an account, you know, you have to buy a certain amount of product. And with Overdrive Advantage program, usually it's fairly high, but they do promotionals. We got in on one of the promotionals. They're doing another promotional right now, so I'm hoping more libraries in the consortium get in on it. Whether they will, I don't know, because, I mean, a lot of it is just a technical expertise hurdle as well. A lot of library directors, I don't think, fully understand Overdrive, and
Right.
so they're shy to pull the trigger on the Advantage program. But I'm hoping they do, because it would make the collection a lot richer if you have more individuals contributing to the overall collection than just CWMR central staff.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think they should do that. I don't think they should be book selectors. I think they should be techies, and that's it.
Mhm.
You know, I don't think they should get involved in all of that. That's what the librarians are there for.
Right.
So what's, and this must be a different cost to the Advantage Plus from the Advantage?
I don't think so, no. I think it
Oh.
was just a matter of getting things set up
Okay.
to where they could do it. Because, I mean, we honestly, we ask a lot of Overdrive as a consortium and as a state. Because it's like, well, we're a consortium, we want to all buy ebooks together that we can share. Oh, but we also have individual libraries inside the consortium, and we want to be able to create these, you know, subgroups inside the bigger account. And then now, you know, as a state, we want all the consortiums to be part of this bigger umbrella where we have shared licenses that we can use when we're not, you know, that are bought by the Massachusetts library system. And so a lot of it is just writing the code, making it work. Overdrive is evolving, and the networks are evolving, and trying to just figure out how to make everything work together.
But you said two things. You said for one aspect you didn't want too many libraries to be involved because we could keep an advantage, and then you said...
Well, I want all the libraries to be involved in Overdrive Advantage. The question is, would we want Overdrive Advantage purchases that are kicked to the consortium to subtract an amount from our CWMR's membership that they can spend on the shared consortial collection? If that makes sense.
CWMRs can spend.
Yes.
No, we don't.
Yeah, how is that an advantage for us?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's not something that anyone's thought about yet, because I haven't asked yet.
Because it could go both ways, so you don't know
Because
whether
it
to
could
ask.
go both ways.
Yeah.
Right.
Because, you know, I would like to think that, you know, all the libraries will be benevolent and share good titles, as opposed to just, you know, buying crap, sharing it, and then
And
saying,
keeping the good stuff for
okay,
themselves?
we're going to keep all the good stuff. We're going to turn all the crap over to the
So
consortium,
can you,
and then
okay,
lower our CWMR's
5
assessment
cents.
that way, because that makes the network overall, you know, a poorer resource.
Yeah.
so you can pick and choose what you want in there?
Yeah.
Oh,
Remember he said you didn't have to wait for the year, you could just, anytime now you could just...
so like if someone is looking for a book, you put in a, you know,
Just one person looking for that book, and so Justin said, oh, Danielle wants it, so I'm gonna get it for her, you know, and then says, but it's terrible. I'll get rid of it after she's done with it.
We'll put it out at the book sale next year.
Yeah, I buy Overdrive titles daily almost now, because people use the request to library button a lot. And so, you know, that's a Douglas resident who has said, I want the library to buy this license so I can read it.
Okay.
And so I buy it.
All right, I see. I get it.
Sometimes I'm like,
But if you can't get it any other way either, I mean, if it's not available as a paper book or as an audio book or something like that, then, and that's the only way you can get it, you know,
it's a lot quicker way to fill a demand. If someone comes in, like someone came in yesterday, and they were looking for a Spanish edition of a specific book for a school project. And I'm like, okay, I can have this for you in print, maybe. You know, we'll have to buy it, we'll have to catalog it, we'll have to process it, or I can have it available for you in Overdrive in 5 minutes. And so I was literally able to like go back to my computer and create a cart in Overdrive, place the order, buy the license, tell them to go to the Overdrive website, find it, and checked it out. And they walked out with it on their iPhone.
Oh, wow.
I love it.
Yeah, it's cool. Great.
So yeah, that's good news.
Yeah.
Canopy, we launched in September. We had 8 views in Canopy in September. In October, we had 18 views. So it's
110%
Do you
increase.
deem that to be successful or positive or
it's
less than expected or better than expected or?
It's kind of about where I expected. I figure that we'll see like a surge in bumps, like, you know, one family will get into like wanting to watch a whole bunch of German foreign cinema or something. And so then they'll max out all of their, you know, play credits for all of their library cards.
What is it, 6?
And then they'll,
So,
Because it's
You
6
can
per
do
month
6.
you can watch.
Right, so if you have 18, that's like maybe.
And there
It could
was,
have been 3 people who
Right.
met.
it wasn't 3
but-
people, there were 7 different library cards active.
Mm.
So that's 7 patrons who used Canopy for a total of 18 views.
I can't, well, I suppose I could do it on my laptop, but we don't have a smart TV, so I can't access it. I can't
Is
do it.
Canopy on your, or do you know where?
I haven't integrated it into these yet. So on these stats, the Canopy doesn't
So
exist
until we
yet.
move a little bit more towards the 21st century.
You can do it on a phone,
Well, you can
just
do
a
it on
PC.
something
a
else.
I have my, I
laptop,
could,
you know.
like I said, I
Laptop?
could do it on my laptop, but the thing is, I say, like, I have Amazon Prime,
Yeah,
so I watch things on that. But my husband
Yeah.
won't sit and watch on this screen, he has to see it on the,
yeah.
you know, so.
No, that's his problem.
I agree. Anyhow,
Yeah, I like the laptops because you can like kick them over there on their sides while you're laying on the couch and your head's this way. the
well, I
screen's
know,
also-
and so I keep telling him, I says, you know, just get comfortable and we put it in a place where we both can see it and, yeah, doesn't work for him.
Let's see. The third bullet, moving on, we created around 100 new library cards for middle school students.
Wonderful.
Due to the principal's Drop Everything and Read program. They basically had the students, the teachers distribute a form I created to all the students. They took it back to their teachers. They brought it back to us. And it turned out to be very, very messy and brutal, ugly process. Because, you know, for every one account we created, we found 2 that already existed. Because there's 330 some odd students in the middle school. And, you know, we created around 100 new accounts. The rest of them were old accounts that needed updated, they needed fixing up. So we had to create like new literature. It's like, all right, you already have an account. This is your card number. You owe this much money. If don't worry about it unless it's more than $10. If it is $10, more than $10, then you know this needs to be
Yeah,
taken
have
care
your
of. Like I
parents speak to
can't
us.
erase all the library fines on the accounts, especially when they're things that come from other towns or what have you. So I also distributed quite a few just generic e-cards to the school. I'm like, you know, here's 20 library accounts that are just electronic access only. There's no, you know, name associated with it other than Douglas Public School. If you have students who need access to the resources and they can't for, you know, any given reason, just let them use one of these accounts and then you can recycle them at the end of the year and use them again next year. You've got barcodes, you've got usernames that go with them. That'll work. And, you know, that was one of the solutions I suggested whenever we first started, is just create a number of accounts equal to the number of students in the school, give them to the principal, and they could just give each student one. But I was like, if it might be worth the extra trouble to try to bring some of these old library accounts back to life.
Right.
And it took about 2 weeks of everyone on staff working on it. But
Yikes.
we got it done.
But now if you had, you know, 300 or whatever for each student and then someone didn't return a book, wouldn't that be an issue? Or something like, if a student lost a book or something like that?
Well, with the generic cards I created,
Yeah,
they can't
the-
check out books. They can only check out
Oh.
ebooks,
Oh, gotcha.
which
Okay.
automatically return. There's no way they can
Yeah,
generate a
there's
fine.
nothing physical. Gotcha.
And the primary resource they're doing this for is Overdrive, so that the students can have access to Overdrive on their iPads, and they get like 30 minutes of just reading time, a certain amount of
idea.
days per week. And October Overdrive certs were already at 566, so it did shoot up. Like last month, they were 470. So a sizable bump in Overdrive circulation thanks to that.
Yeah.
Other things I've been up to, I did some minor website tweaks. Betty finally has a dedicated book club page on the site. So it lists all the book clubs with a short description, and we'll keep what they're reading updated on it. I took away a lot of the junk that was at the bottom of the pages, like the social share and like this page. I hope to tweak some more and upcoming weeks, just to, I don't know, it's been the same way for too long and I'm bored. And then the next page is the circulation report. So September circs weren't great. They were a bit of an increase over last year. But last year was pretty low. We tend to have a dip in September. And then a subsequent rise in October. And it's looking like it's going to be that way this year too. I can almost be done with October circs because tomorrow's the last day. And October's looking pretty spiffy.
Good.
A lot more adult books circulated this year than last year. So.
Yeah.
I have to say, every time I go through town, there's somebody either going into or coming out of the library. Every time. Most of the time they have a little child in tow, but still, they're going to the library. It's a good thing.
Look what's up more than anything is the overdrive and then the wireless too.
Yeah, now what, the overdrive, I figured out what that is. But what are the adult electronic format, juvenile, and I'm sure I've asked this many times and you've answered it many times, but I can't, it hasn't sunk into my juvenile.
The answer is I have no idea. Because these are things that circulated over our desk. But the statistical category, like these are ARIS formats. Like the state determines the various kinds of formats that we report on our ARIS reports, and that's just what I chose to put in here. The individual libraries choose what to put under what format, so those are probably things that came in from some other library that we circulated that in all probability are probably miscatalogued. But, you know, the juvenile electronic format, you know, my best guess would be some library somewhere has cataloged a children's book that has a CD in the back cover as an electronic format item. And it's circed in Douglas, so it counts as 2 electronic format circulations for us. What they are, I don't know. Young adult could be games.
Those are single-digit items, right?
Because those are ARIS formats I don't use. Like I don't categorize anything as juvenile electronic format, or young adult electronic format, or adult electronic format.
Or adult miscellaneous.
Adult miscellaneous is museum passes.
Oh,
Okay.
Good if the number was
But I
higher
don't
than-
do anything as juvenile miscellaneous. I don't have anything cataloged as young adult video or young adult miscellaneous. We don't have any young adult periodicals.
What about wireless sessions? What's that, computer use?
Yeah.
That is, and I misinterpreted this for a long time because I thought that the wireless sessions was the number of times the Wi-Fi was accessed, like the number of times somebody logged into our, you know, Wi-Fi, selected the terms of service, and then used the Wi-Fi. But it's actually the number of individual devices that have logged in over the month and used the Wi-Fi.
So it could be somebody's phone.
Yeah, it's phones, laptops. But
So
in
it's-
order to count as one of these blips, like, you know, 139, that's 139 unique individual devices that actually logged in and accepted the terms of service and went into the Wi-Fi. If they just like made a connection with the router but didn't accept the terms of service,
Right.
then it doesn't count. Otherwise, it would be like in the thousands, because every time someone drives by on Main Street, their device will like ping the router, and the router will be like, hello. And they'll be like, you want to play? And it'll be like, it's already gone.
Yeah. I tried to get it from the Historical Society.
And that was an issue with the new router whenever I installed it, because we started having connectivity issues within like a week. And it's because we had already used up all of our potential IP addresses, because you have to have a number of IP addresses that are assigned, and we ascertained that it's just because our router is so close to the road, because the library is so close to the road,
Right.
that every person who drives by with a phone is using up an IP address.
Wow.
But that doesn't count as one of these stats.
Yeah,
Because those
the
numbers were in
astronomical.
like the hundreds and thousands.
Right.
But yeah, so that's more use than I thought it was. Because I thought it was like, if I
Sessions on the
walked
on
into the
PCs and
library,
yeah.
But
5
that may
times
be-
in a
That's the
week.
computer use down here, the last item.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, the computer use is anytime someone logged into the public access computers as a guest session. But, with the wireless sessions, my understanding was that, if I logged into the wireless, 20 times in a month, then that would count as 20 sessions. But it
Right.
doesn't, it counts as one.
okay.
So what does that mean? A lot of people have been using their iPads or iPhones in the library?
139 people used their iPhones and iPads in the library in September, or laptops, or
You could be
widgets or what
appeared
have
on
you.
Facebook while a child is sitting there at the table when they should be reading with their child, but they're checking their Facebook.
I can see where the how much data is being used on different services now with the new Wi-Fi, and like by far it's Instagram.
Oh, interesting.
And I know who it is. I know like who this group of people who comes into the library and uses Instagram. And it's just I just think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
So what's the amusement? I don't know what you're talking about.
Instagram, it's like a
Well, no, I know what Instagram is, but I don't know why people are coming in the library as a group to use Instagram.
well, they're coming into the library as a group, and that just happens to be what they do. So like they hang out, they chat, and while they're chatting, they're using Instagram to do stuff. I don't know.
Well, it looks good on our report, so.
But it is fun because I'll have to, maybe I'll print out a report next time, like a daily report.
An Instagram,
An Instagram.
So that you can get an idea of what people are using the internet for at the library. And mostly it's just like HTTP protocol, browsing the web. But that doesn't actually use that much data because you're just loading websites and looking at stuff. If you start watching videos or loading a lot of images, that uses a lot of data. So you can see what's kind of driving wireless use. I can't pull that data for the regular computers, but I can now for the Wi-Fi, and it's fun. I like administrative
Data-
dashboards
data's
where I can get data. Done, I'm done. That's the end of my report.
Okay, so moving on to old business. Under building and capital projects and funding, window replacement.
So this one of the round windows in the loft has been kind of jiggling in its frame for a very long time, and it popped out. And I tried to pull it back in using like a suction, a plunger basically, and trying to pull it back, but that broke it. So the window broke. Its time was near. I mean, it's been like sort of fluttering for a long time. It was something that we needed replaced immediately because there was no window up there.
Yeah.
So Brian LaValle, who's the guy who did the rail, fixed it, and the price was $363. And I've got the invoice attached to a voucher to come from building donations, pending approval. If they approve it, you can sign it. If they don't approve it, then I'll find another way to pay for it.
All right, well, I will entertain a motion to approve spending, what is the amount?
$363.
$363 for window replacement.
from,
In the loft window.
Right.
New plexiglass. Is that how you spell
No.
plexiglass?
No.
I didn't think that was how you spell
So we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion.
Okay.
It's from building donations. I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I love how you, how you come up with innovative ways to repair things and make things work. I just love it.
Google. It's like, how do you pull a window back into its frame?
I know, well, let's
plunger.
try
I
a
tried to
plunger.
pull it in.
And I would say, why not?
I tried to like lean out the basement window and kind of poke it back in, but I didn't have a pole that was long enough. And that was not a safe thing to do, so I stopped.
All right, I think we're good on that. I think we can accept that. Children's room carpet.
That is done. It got done before Oktoberfest. Carpet lovers came and they installed new tiles in the holes that were left whenever we moved the shelves. They charged $150 for it, but we have the money in operations, so I just used operational funds to pay for it.
That's a good price.
So we didn't have to use any special money.
Concrete steps repair.
That is, I don't know if anyone has noticed, but like up on the right-hand side of the stairs, whenever you're going in, parts of the patch-up are crumbling. And I talked to Adam about it, and he said that's to be expected, because the last repair was 4 or 5 years ago. To me,
Where, on that side, it was.
yes, because
I mean, it was when you were here, and you haven't been here that long.
it had already happened, I think, and I was there for. Well, no, it did happen. To me, it seems soon to be
Yeah,
fixing
yeah,
something
yeah.
that just got fixed. But they say that it's normal for it to wear that way in a highly used place
Yeah,
like that.
building.
Anyway, we can touch it up for $1,300 is the quote. Adam wouldn't recommend doing anything until spring at this point anyway, because you don't lay concrete in winter. So I don't think it's that much of an issue.
It's
But
the
if
right
y'all
side.
want to look at the steps next time you're coming into the library and see how much of an issue y'all think it is.
It's not dangerous.
No, it's not dangerous.
Who is the 13? Is that if he does it or if he sends it out?
That's through, I'm blanking on the name now.
It's the same guy that did the other stuff
Yes.
from Dudley or something like that.
It is. And then now watch me not be able to find this email. Build Max.
How you spell that?
Build.
Build?
Yeah, just build and Max, all one word. BUILDMAX. In Dudley. 52 Eagle Drive.
Wow, Ally, you remembered.
Hope not.
That's,
I couldn't
Well,
remember.
that's why, because it was only 2 or 3 years
Yes,
ago,
yes,
and
no,
that's
it's
why
true.
I
It's not
remember.
long ago.
It wasn't. It was when.
Because I remember
just-
when we had to put up cones and
right.
And we
But
had
you
to have
can't.
whatever that leveler thing done. I remember Joe talking about that. That may have been before you were there, but we talked about it for about a year. So, and I can't remember, it's floating or something like that? Is that what it's called? Floating the concrete? Or, yeah.
I've heard the word. I can't tell you what it means.
No. So,
So I don't guess there's really any action to be taken
I was
now
gonna
other than
say,
just
just
look
what-
at the steps. See what you think.
That's our
Alright.
action item, look at the steps.
I would say table it till spring, but time goes by so fast. So, yeah, just to be thinking about it. That just seems high. I'm not.
I know,
it
But that's
does-
sort of the only option, right? There's not really any other, we don't wanna.
especially if it was just done a few years ago.
But did they only do the left side? I don't know.
Well, there's other people out there that we could,
I was gonna
Yeah, well,
say,
this
maybe we
guy-
could get him a couple of
Yeah,
bids
Adam
on it
was,
at some point.
pretty clear that, this, BuildMax, I think I heard about it in Capitol.
Adam was adamant?
Adam. And, he said it was one of the, vendors that you didn't have to pay, prevailing wage to, because they were a one-person show, or brothers did it or something like that, so
Yeah, I know that they have
it was a good deal.
pretty long history, from my understanding, of doing satisfactory work for the town for relatively cheap. This, I don't know, I mean, this is one instance where I'm like, you know, they did this work. They did this work within the time I've been here, and it's, do we gotta do it again now?
I know, then,
Maybe the stairs will fix themselves before spring.
Yeah. Maybe an asteroid away.
Yeah, if someone has some extra concrete they can bring over.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get
Have
like
a
a ramp
workshop.
to put over that spot of the stairs, and then it won't be an
The
issue.
Boy Scouts will do it.
we'll get everything cleared at the same time, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll take a look at it, and if you have to do it, you have to do it. But I know, it just seems kind of, but whatever, we'll check into it. So moving on to climate control.
Climate control. This is what I'm just starting to call our Christmas present. This is all kind of happening over my head, but there was the back and forth between the Central Massachusetts Regional Planning Commission, Matt, Bill, and the Energy Conservation Incorporated regarding various projects for the Green Community Grant Initiative with the town. Because, you know, the town gets this grant money, and then they commit to, you know, reducing energy usage by a certain amount over a particular amount of time. And there's still some things up in the air with the street light replacement project. But it's Article 10 for the special town meeting is going to be to allocate $35,000 to this project.
Oh, in the November 17th,
Mhm.
is that what it?
But it's not money
Yeah,
that.
13.
Yep, 13.
Oh.
Because we had to move the Intrepid readers.
Okay.
But that is not actually to spend any additional money. That's just to pay for it now so that the grant can reimburse it. We don't have to do that. This is all beyond us. But basically, what they're talking about is a $46,125 project, which may, if that goes through, then we will get full weatherization, window tightening, ceiling, insulation, door sweeps, and the mini split systems and attic ceiling. Depending on, we don't know whether that's going to happen yet or whether it's just going to be getting the mini splits replaced. Something's going to happen. Those are the weird air conditioners that are sort of mounted on the wall.
Okay.
So like
Pay
you
more
have
attention.
one compressor outside that services 3 or 4 different units that are on the inside. And these are like a new hyperheat unit. It's some kind of new proprietary Mitsubishi technology which uses, I don't know, science to heat and then reverses
Molecules.
science to cool in the summer. And the estimated energy savings is $3,527 a year. Which would, you know,
Sort of like
basically
12
we're
years to pay
constrained
for
by
it.
MAR. So we're still going to be asking for the same budget, but it would free up that much money from our
Yeah.
operational budget.
Right.
Um,
That's nice.
And what is Article 10?
That is like approving the spending of these funds. So like
Okay.
the library's on it, and then the streetlight thing is also on it.
Okay.
So the town's already gotten the 35,000 from the Green Communities Act.
I don't think so. I think they have to spend it first and then they're reimbursed. I think it works that way.
I thought it was 46, no?
Well, that's what's on the article. That's what's on Article
Okay.
10.
Oh, 'cause that
is-
includes the
is
lights.
35. But whenever, like, I'm reading the emails back and forth, they're quoting 46, 125. And I don't know which way it's going to go yet.
Oh, okay. So
I
there'd
think,
be
like,
more
there's
projects
meetings
you could do.
tomorrow between Matt and ECI or the CMRPC.
Okay.
They're trying to do something for us.
Yeah,
That's all
that's
good.
good.
That's all
Yeah.
good. It's all
It's
good.
either going to be doing a lot for us or doing a lot for us.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's finally
That'd be
nice to
exciting.
be paid attention to, you know, that.
It's what happens when
And
you
green stuff is positive.
win elections
right?
and stuff.
Is that controversial? Is there, get out the vote?
No, it shouldn't be controversial. It's one of those like business as usual articles, I
But those
think.
green communities grants happen every year, right? So every year the town.
It just
I think
recently.
so.
Only
yeah,
when we
just-
did what
just
we had to
started
do.
doing it.
Yeah, just
so-
last year. So now, but every year, I think there's some money
Yeah.
that's available for this.
Yeah, but they've been talking about the streetlight stuff for years.
Yeah, that was right at the very beginning. That was from the onset.
Oh, well, maybe we better get on the Green Communities Act so that we can get the
Get-
streetlights replaced, yeah.
So we're excited.
I need to slip
Yeah.
out. we still have enough people, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All that's left is like director review stuff and
Okay.
5-year plans,
I was
nothing
trying to
important.
do
We did good stuff.
Alright. So, moving on to any other old business under the building piece. No? How about our 5-year plan?
I've compiled the survey responses. We did not get a lot of survey participation, but we did get some. Ended up collecting 23 online and 8 print for a total of 31 responses.
Yeah, but I think even when we've had workshops and all this other stuff, we've never really had more than that in responses, so I think that's pretty good, actually.
So I compiled the results. For the first question, people were asked, how satisfied they are with various things, and they could say like it, or love it, neutral, dislike, and hate it. And all of those responses were weighted on a scale of 5 to 1. And so we could use that to sort of rank what people on the whole are most satisfied with to least satisfied with. So customer service, 4.74, online collections, 4.13, physical collections, 4.03, website usefulness, 4.00. And then children's programming, 3.74, library building, 3.65, adult programming, 3.65. Everything was, at or above the middle line, so that's good. And the adult programming did not, that was our least. I mean, the library building was not high on the list of things that people were satisfied with. Adult programming was at the bottom, but the following I thought was interesting as well, because in the next question that I put on here, participants were asked to rank, they were given 7 objectives, and they had to sort of move them around and put them in order of importance that they thought, mattered. And then those responses were ranked, 7 to 1, based on, if you put it at the top, it was a 7, put it at the bottom, it was a 1. And like encourage reading and providing reading material was 6.34. And nothing else was really even on the radar. Providing access to internet, promoting information literacy came in second. Maintaining a comfortable and quiet space was third. Access to videos was fourth. Host programs and events drops down to like a level of 4.
Yeah, but why is it, I mean, it should be third.
You're right, maybe it should.
It should be.
It's out of sequence there, out of order.
I typoed something somewhere, because that's not supposed to be 4.
Should be 3?
I think it's supposed to be
Maybe
3.
it's supposed to be a 3.00.
Because the order is right, but that
Yeah,
number is
right.
not right.
So that would make sense.
So I think we should just table this whole discussion about the survey until next month. But curate historical and offering printing, copying, and faxing services were like way down in the 2 range.
Well, maybe for the 31 participants, but
For the-
still for the town, I think they're both important.
I'm not saying they're not important, just saying what the survey says.
Right, exactly.
And I think we have to look at,
Because we will pry that archive out of Rebecca's cold dead hands.
No, I think they're doing a fantastic job with the archive.
out of 31 participants, 30 have a library card.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the people who participated in it, we can pretty much say are people who use the library.
And I really tried to get like some negative feedback.
Well,
like, I went back into all of those
At
threads.
the book sale, while I was there, we had them out, and I kept putting them next to the bucket where people would put their money. And as people, if they were friendly enough and we could chat a little bit, I'd say, oh, if you have a minute, we're conducting a survey if you want to fill that out. And I don't even know if there was anybody who really didn't. I don't know.
I went back through the Facebook threads where people were discussing the library and the overrides, and I tried to find like the most negative ones where people were like really anti-opposite library, and like reposting those threads. Like I brought them back from the dead to say like, look, we've got this survey, take it, now, and give us a piece of your mind, let us know. And one person took the bait.
Is that the one person that didn't have a library card?
It was probably the one person who didn't have a library card and put in a few words, what do you think the library does best, gave us a rant.
I wonder if it was the gentleman who was asking if we had any darts to
Yes,
throw at
but-
Hillary Clinton's
Very
book.
good,
I think if this second part had been rated the way the first would, it might have come out different. Because if everybody could have given a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 of importance to each one instead of ranking them, then I think the printing and copying might also have gotten a 5. But because the
wanted
way
them
it
to
was
have to
set
rank them.
up,
Right.
you couldn't do that because maybe you thought they were both equally important, but you had to go through mental anguish deciding was it more important to have programs or was it more important to have copying? And you had to, it's like saying, which of your children do you like best?
I know, isn't it great?
No, I think
Well,
you might have gotten
again-
a different, you might have gotten like 5, 5, 5,
I'm sure we
2,
would
2
have,
or
because
something.
if people are given the opportunity to rank objectives and importance, a lot of times people will put like, all of this is really important to me. When you make them choose, then you see a little bit of a
Exactly.
like what means the most. And
And-
this tells us that, what means the most is that, like traditional library service of
Exactly.
encouraging reading and providing reading material.
Right. And I think going back to the audience who filled this out as people who were assuming access to the library, they know that the printing, copying, and faxing services are there. Maybe they don't choose to use them. I'm constantly hearing from people like, I have to fax something, I have to get something copied, where can I go? What can I do? And people are saying, oh, go here, they'll charge you $2, I'll go there. And it's like, just go to the library. And I don't think people who don't frequent the library aren't aware of the services that are available.
Yeah.
So maybe that's part of, and the people who do go there are gonna look at the other things where they have to rank it, as those other things are more important.
Yeah, because a friend of mine was asking in this yoga class, well, where can I go? Where's the closest Staples to get stuff copied and faxed? And I said, the library. And she said, really? And then she went in and she was just pleased as punch that she got it all done.
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
She just couldn't believe it. That's where one went. They just don't realize it.
Yeah,
And then she just immediately was thinking Staples.
exactly. That's what people are saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so if Staples is around, why do you need offer printing, copying, and faxing services, you know? Yeah, and you have to go all the way up to Auburn for
I
it.
know, I think, again, I think it goes back to educating people, and I don't know what else you can do. I mean, you've done everything to make what's available at the library, people aware of that.
No, I don't think
and,
people are aware you can fax and
Right.
copy there. I don't think they
that
do.
people just are,
People don't think about it until they need that service.
right.
Because if many more people figure out that they can fax at the library, we're gonna need a second fax machine. It's-
We don't want to advertise too much.
Wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing, but, you know, then we would have a second fax machine. We would need a bigger building.
There you go.
That's it.
We'll just send them up here.
No, because usually, I have people stop by my office quite often and say, do you have a fax machine here? Because they're just desperate, because they have to fax something. Something legal or insurance, or it's always something that's
Yeah,
fairly
yeah.
important.
Yeah, yeah.
And they have no idea where there's a fax machine, so they'll come in just to my office and say, can you fax something? Can you do it? I said, yeah, sure, you know. But they never, I don't know, next time though, but this is Webster, but I'll send it.
Yeah, yeah, the
But,
Webster
you
has
know?
their brand new library,
Yeah,
so why
yeah.
not send them there?
But then obviously not thinking that.
Yeah, 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 no, people just don't think that.
So the last thing on this page was, there was a slider, and I couldn't do a slider on a print survey, so I had to word it different. So on the electronic survey, you basically just had a slider. You know, how much money do you think the library should spend on, you know, physical collections versus electronic collections? And so you had to move it somewhere and drop it. In the print survey, I just asked, you know, for every $100 the library spends, how much should be going towards electronic collections rather than print collections? And so when I aggregated all the response, the collective preference was pretty much where I thought it would be. Like, people expect like a 60% allocation to physical and 40% allocation to electronic. What blew my mind, though, was that with the print surveys, a huge shift in bias towards electronic spending happened. So I was expecting that, like with the print
Because-
surveys,
It used to
that,
be
you know,
said
most of it came
electronic
from the senior
response would
center.
be-
It's like they're going to say you should spend all of your money on books, and you know you shouldn't be buying electronic ebook licenses. But it was the opposite. They wanted more online stuff. And
I know, it's counterintuitive there.
it's like, well, why didn't you take the survey online? Why are you taking the print? But you know, it's not. Anyway, the
But
next.
if you average it out, it's about 50-50, right?
Mhm. For
Well,
the-
if one was
the-
60-40, the other one was opposite, then,
Well, 60-40 was the total
Overall?
of
Oh,
everything,
okay.
of overall. But with the print responses alone, it was more like 85 in favor of electronics.
really.
And we had a lot of people with like really strong opinions, like either it's 100% electronic or it's 100% print.
Really?
The next two pages, and this is where this is where I actually did use double-sided, so this is the only
Yeah.
back page that actually has content.
Yeah,
Um,
it's fun.
This one here.
One side is, you know, in a few words, what do you think the library does best, and all the responses we got
And
there.
then,
Yeah.
And on the other side is what do you think the library does worst, and how can we can improve, and all the responses we got there. So you can peruse these at your leisure, and
I think it's interesting.
I think it's safe to say that everybody loves Gail.
Yeah.
Well, she's good, but all of you work
Customer
in the
service,
desk
customer service,
is-
customer
yeah,
service,
is-
the librarians,
it's
customer
everybody.
service.
Mhm.
It's everybody there.
So how much do we spend on physical versus electronic? Roughly.
It's nowhere near 60-40.
I wouldn't think so.
It's probably closer to like 90-10
Yeah.
print versus electronic.
That's what I thought. Yeah. That's interesting.
But I mean, probably should start spending some more on electronic because, you know, we're running out of space.
I know, it's true. That is
Why do you
another
have
consideration.
discriminates against handicapped signage?
That's where
Why
they
do
put
we
it. that's where the participant put the
That's what we
put
do
the
best.
response. So
That's what we do best.
where I left it.
We do a good job of
Good at
that.
discrimination. Really
We
good.
do an excellent. Well, they have a point.
And the other parts of that comment as well, are, we do a really good job of that too.
You know, you were saying earlier that you could figure out from looking at your services, you know, who was doing Instagram on wireless and stuff. I notice every month when it's like a month later, when I post the approved minutes, you know, I won't put these on until next month's meeting.
I know why, because we lose them and don't read them.
Well, no, I still have them around and say, oh, I gotta put that up there.
Oh,
But
okay.
if you look at these things on the town's minutes page, the libraries are looked at sometimes in the thousands of times.
The meeting minutes?
The meeting minutes, but almost always, you know, 300 to 400
Really?
people read it. I don't read it that many times. I don't. I mean, I put it up there, and
Right.
that's one. So that's
Can these be posted?
what's that?
No,
No.
these should not
No.
be posted.
No, that should not,
Because it's not something that we've
no.
created or anything like that. So, but the minutes are.
That's interesting.
It would be interesting if you could find out from either cable or whoever maintains those statistics. You know, who's looking at them? Is it all the staff in this building, or is it actually community people that are looking at these minutes, or do I just write so beautifully that they can't wait till the next month to read?
I know, it's like an installment book,
I know.
you know? I need the next chapter.
You're right, right. So I don't know.
Has
You
anyone
know how
ever checked
if you
how
can
many
do that.
views our videos get?
No,
On
but,
YouTube?
but,
I don't know.
No, but don't
One
you,
or two
don't
most
you,
of the
don't
time.
you think though, 30 people took the time to answer the survey. Don't you
Right.
think we ought to somehow summarize the survey or have some of
Summarize
the
it.
I can
It will
summarize the
So-
survey,
so that
but like
people-
like the individual responses don't need to be.
Okay, maybe not, but some, maybe.
I mean,
but
I
some-
can
but
identify
some-
some people that are writing these things, you know, so.
Well,
I mean, like I know who wrote that because I can tell by their writing style. Like posting this publicly would be like a violation of,
Yeah.
Yeah.
of confidence in people who took the survey.
No,
Or
but
maybe
I
do a
mean,
word cloud or something.
I mean, you could say out of 31 responses, you know, count these up. So many people listed customer service as, you know,
yeah, but
one of the
that's
best.
Yeah,
by far the,
something
the
like
most, the most frequent response.
I'll
Right,
find some way
right.
to condense this and post it publicly.
I like the one that says, makes my kids feel welcome and excited about books. That's an important thing. That's a really important thing. Where you don't have the dog and pony show going on there. You've got a corner of a room, basically with children's books and a couple of things out on the tables. For them to say that their children are excited about books.
Our last meeting was watched 12 times. Of course, now it was watched 13 times.
But no, I think if people took the time to make a response, we should acknowledge that and somehow react to it.
To say, you know, customer service was, you know, repeatedly listed as one of the best things. Some of the areas that we're aware of are handicap accessibility.
yeah, I mean, just, yeah,
Just, you know, just
summarizing
keeping it-
that is just to keep the community knowledgeable of what.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you have something that you'd like to say, you can access the survey, you know, however many different ways you want to do it, online or come into the library. We've got hard copies, and so you can have your feelings.
Do we want to
added
keep the
it.
survey open for longer, or?
This was for the 5-year plan, right?
I don't
This
think
is
it's
what
that-
for just. This is what for. It's only been a month. It hasn't even been a month.
It's been.
That's longer.
Yeah, it's been longer than a month
Because it was, you brought it up last month, and you said you were gonna.
because it
put
was already posted
in
at the last meeting.
In September, yeah, so.
I'm wondering, of course, again, who's gonna read the Douglas Way? You know, who's gonna read the newsletter of, it's gonna be people who are patrons of the library, to try to get,
It's difficult without like doing sketchy data mining and you know, violating people's privacy.
Yeah, but it is important to keep the public aware that the library does do things, and that people do like the customer service. And
Well, even that, we had a survey, people answered, and we took it seriously. We looked at it, we analyzed it or something, but
Right.
we took it
right,
and didn't just ignore it.
exactly. Do we wanna try to get more people to do it, or are we gonna just,
But you've summarized some of it already,
Mhm.
but then maybe we can, maybe by just elicit, just, maybe you could take some of the snippets of the commentary.
or write, you know, submit news releases to the newspapers of the survey. Now, I know Uxbridge has talked about their long-range plan.
Mhm.
They had a big survey, yeah.
They had a survey
Yeah.
too.
How many people responded to that?
I only saw the survey, I don't know how
I
many
think they're,
responded.
I don't know
But
if they've
they're also
actually-
having focus groups.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we've done that too, and that's not fun.
No.
It's a lot of work
yeah.
for not much response.
Mm.
Not, I mean, you get more response from this survey, I think, than you do from focus groups.
In a sample size this small, like in the town of 8,000, you're not going to be able to get a lot of traction from focus groups and generating reliable data.
No, and even the focus groups, I think we had the last long-range plan, there must have been about 3 or 4. One were trustees or, you know, government officials and stuff. I mean, it all ended up being not as valuable as this survey.
Yeah, I think we paid somebody.
Yeah,
Did
we
we have
did.
that woman come in and we
Yeah,
paid her?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We did.
We did that with CW Mars because I was on the CW Mars Strategic Planning Committee a couple years ago. And it's like, we're going to bring in a consultant, a long-range planning consultant. And, you know, and we're going to have a whole bunch of committee meetings about the survey. And I bet we spent, you know, 8 people, a collective 4 hours each, just about how specific questions should be worded. And I'm like, this is going too deep, guys. It's just going too deep. Just
And it's not worth having, I mean, maybe the first long-range plan, you're right, yeah, and I've argued this with other departments in town. You do have a consultant to help you. After that, it's the professional in that position that can easily update these long-range plans. And I keep on hearing, oh, well, we have to, water sewer, we have to have update our long-range plan for sewage treatment or something like that. Well, why can't the professional in that position do that? Oh, no, we have to spend $50,000 on that.
Why do they need a strategic plan?
Oh,
Like,
everybody needs,
water
everybody.
comes from here, sewage goes there. They don't mix.
Exactly. Yeah, but tell them that, and, or, I mean, and now, I'm not picking on water sewer, there are other departments that have said that, I think there's, the town engineer has asked for money, and I said, why can't you do it?
Mm-hmm.
No. You know, it's beyond my scope.
Yeah, I know,
For,
I know.
for, you know, and I just don't agree with that.
Yeah. I know
That's
what
why
you-
we
I know
have
exactly what you're saying.
Professionals in those positions, and they should be able to update these
I
things.
agree. Is there still a group going on at the senior center,
Mm-hmm.
a library group? Have you tried having them fill out the survey?
I gave them all surveys, but I didn't
Okay.
get any back.
Okay.
Of course, I mean, I might get them back in December when we have our next book club.
Oh, and what's the book for the next book club?
No, not Orphan Train, the other train, Murder on the Orient Express.
Oh, okay.
So when is the 5-year plan supposed to be in? Or it doesn't matter?
Doesn't matter.
Within the
Hopefully
next
before
5
5
years.
years.
Well, I mean, I can have a 5-year plan written by next meeting if y'all want it. I've just been trying to do it a little more officially.
I know,
Yeah.
I know, and I've
You
been
don't-
involved with 5-year plans through other things, and I always felt like I was beating my head against the wall, pretty
Yeah.
much.
You don't have to have a 5-year plan for any purpose with the MBLC, but you have to have a 5-year plan if you want to have annual action plans, because the annual action plans have to come from your 5-year plan. And you have to have an annual action plan on file in order to apply for LSTA grants, which none of them looked relevant to our community this year, so I wasn't applying for any LSTA grants.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just worthwhile doing, but I wouldn't spend an inordinate amount of time
Right.
doing it. You know, I think you're smart enough to figure it out and talk us into it.
There you go.
All right.
All right, can we move on to new business now? Ready? Director's review.
Oh, wait a minute, what about friends?
Oh, I didn't see, I'm sorry.
Dana did a great job at Oktoberfest, and now I hear it was, I thought it was Dana and Justin, but Danielle was there too.
I was there for a couple hours.
Yeah, and you raised $726.03.
Awesome.
So that's very nice, thank you.
What happened? Did the man come back who was doing the mini library?
Came back a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He came back and touched bases a second time, but I don't think he ever actually came and got books, did he?
I thought he was going to take
Yeah.
a bunch of the kids' books.
I think he took books.
Did he take books? Okay.
Yeah, he was with his wife. Maybe she'd grab them. But
Because we ended the sale with a lot less children's material than we
Yeah.
started with. Like, that's what
that
sold the
yeah,
most.
Sells the most.
But what did you get at the summer sale? We had a dollar amount as opposed to any cents, and how come you got 3 cents? People are supposed to give whole dollars to this thing, not.
I
There
don't
are
think
some
we
cheap,
made that
there are
clear.
some cheap people.
Yeah. Okay, but good news.
Also, Ephraim might have thrown in some money he found, too.
He was cleaning up there for a while.
Oh, yeah, Ephraim, my 5-year-old son
Yeah, oh yeah.
was there for pretty much the whole sale.
Some of the people were looking at him like, what is he doing? He was going with the shovel
Yeah,
and
he
picking up the
he
stuff.
shoveled all of the sidewalks where like dirt and grass had sort of encroached over the sidewalks. That's gone.
Oh, nice.
That's because of Ephraim.
Can you tell us an update on what happened with Sokol Hall using?
It ended up being fine. It ended up being
Oh,
fine.
the electros.
They cut down on the number of crock pots they got. There was a bit of a misunderstanding, I think. There was a bit of a kerfuffle between the Sokol and Oktoberfest committee, because I think that they thought that if they came to me and got my permission to use the grounds around the library and use our electricity, that was enough. But that's not enough, because the Oktoberfest committee has jurisdiction over all of the vendor spaces on that day. So they still have to go to the Oktoberfest committee to be an approved vendor. Once that misunderstanding was taken care of, then everything was smooth sailing from then. They didn't end up needing any more power than usual. They cut down on the number of crock pots and things. Last year they had like a row of crock pots. Like, I don't know how many it actually was, but it looked like it was 400. And a TV screen and some other stuff, and like that, it was blowing fuses left and right. This year, I don't think we tripped a breaker.
I noticed, because I always have to get my Glomkeys there, and I noticed that the cord was still going through the window, and I'm like,
We did early on manage to. What we do now is there's 2 different circuits in the building, so they can run one wire through one window and another one through another window, so they're not plugged into the same breaker. And then as long as everything's kind of shunted off of those two and not overloaded on one, then it works. And it worked. We didn't have any
that's good.
problems this year. It was great. And I think I had everything that was on their menu at some point or another.
Yeah, they're good. I mean, it's worth going there. I love having them there.
I know.
Yeah, very good.
And I also spent the $12 or $13, whatever it was, on the cup, the Wild Willie's cup,
Yeah.
or Wild Bill's.
Wild
or
Bill's.
The soda people
Yeah.
up front. And so I could have unlimited soda all day, and that was great. And if they're at the next Oktoberfest and you still have the cup, it's only $2, and you can get all of the soda you can drink all day.
I don't think I could drink very much soda.
I'm not a soda drinker.
Had a lot of sugar water.
Yep.
Okay? All right, I want to make sure we have all the friends news because the friends are very, very important. Okay, now.
Other thing, while we're on Friends, coffee has kind of taken off. I guess it's the season
Look at
because
you.
it's getting
You're
cold.
really buzzed up, aren't you?
Well, the Keurig out front,
Yeah.
it's like no one used it all summer, and now all of a sudden, like it's just being used a lot, and like people are dropping money in the little donation thing, so like I can go buy more coffee, and
Cool.
it's fun.
That's great.
Coffee's important.
Oh, and also speaking of friends, how are the programming thingies going on?
We have, I think, 7 people signed up for the calligraphy thing that's coming up in
Is that
late
the same
November.
date as our trustee meeting?
No, that was
No.
last week's
did I miss that?
foraging workshop, which actually was pretty good. I went to it.
I wanted to go and then I couldn't make it.
Did
Yeah,
Mary
it
end up
looked like-
there?
No.
No?
I was the
No.
only person I knew there.
Mm.
And there were 10 other people
Oh,
besides
nice.
me, and
That's
I
awesome.
didn't know any of them. So it was great.
Yeah,
It really
that's
was.
awesome.
And so I think it was a very successful program.
It looked very, there were a lot of people
Yeah, she was very
interested
good.
in it.
Yeah.
I know there was a bit of. I was told it was a very exciting night, Tuesday night, because at one point
Oh,
there
yeah,
were
we had
kids on top of the book drop and
Yeah.
bicycles
Oh.
everywhere and
Yeah, and
jumping.
that was part of the problem. Was the
But
hail,
the
yeah.
technical
Was that
setup
the
for the
hail?
program
Oh my
was difficult apparently, and
Well, she had the back door open the whole time, so people would come through either the back door or down the stairs.
like
It was-
setting up the projector screen though and all that stuff beforehand.
Yeah, she had done that. It was all set up.
It was all set up, but apparently there were problems setting it up because I wasn't there. And like some cable was missing, so it's like, and she didn't want to have to be involved in any of the technical aspects of it. So, I mean, if something to think about is if we are going to have more presentation-y type things, getting maybe actually, you know, something people can just plug into and present instead of having to set up the screen and then put the wire through and then put the projector in front of the pillar.
Well,
Um,
how many projectors are owned by this town? The fancy dancy ones.
I don't know.
I know planning board has one, or, the town engineer has one. And I know some of there must be some in the schools. And is that the correct technology being used? And if it isn't, why can't the library use the one that's in the town engineer's possession?
The technology is fine, it's just the way it's set up. Because ideally, what you want is like a screen that can just be lowered from the ceiling instead of having to like set up the tripod and take up half the room. And you want your projector mounted on the ceiling so that it can just project instead of having to prop it up in a chair somewhere.
Now, is
And
there
then run a
one
wire with the computer.
in the selectmen's room too? Is there a projector in there
I
for
have no
that
idea.
cable owns or something? Yeah.
But you want them to be
Well, I'm getting the
stationary.
answer, the yes, I'm not talking to you.
Oh,
She said yes, there is one.
You can cast from the phones or laptops as well.
I seem to recall Matt trying to do that and it not working very well
Didn't work.
during one of the budget discussion things.
But do you know how many of those projectors are hanging around?
Um,
Those were, it used to be, I haven't dealt with them for 10 years or so I don't know if it's top technology or not anymore. And but they were very expensive back in the day.
They're not anymore. Projectors are cheap.
Are they?
Mm-hmm.
So the friends could buy a projector for the library if they're cheap.
The projector's fine. It's just a process. It's like, it should be mounted somewhere up high where it can just be there, and then have a cable strung somewhere else where you can plug a computer into it somewhere and just go. That's what people expect whenever they come to do a presentation. They expect to just be able to plug in the computer. You've seen a podium that has all of the little squiddy things coming out of it, and someone just puts their computer down on it, and then they just hook whatever it needs to go, and then they go. Whereas, anytime we want to set up our projector, it's at least a 30-minute process, because you've got
is there a way to do it like what you're saying?
I'm sure there is with money.
Yeah, I know. Could you get a quote for this and present it to the friends somehow?
Yeah, I can do that. Would we want it in the basement, or would we want it upstairs? Or this is something to think about.
Yes.
Something to think. Like I said, it's just something to think about.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that, if we had a new building, it had a dedicated room for presentations. Just have a screen on a wall. But that's one of the reasons that I stopped doing the movie nights, is because we weren't getting a whole lot of attendance. But it probably took me the better part of an hour just to set up the room.
Right.
Because with that, you also had the sound issue. So you had to have a computer somewhere with wires taped to the ground to get to the box that connected to the speakers, and then you had to have another wire coming from the computer to the projector, which projected on the screen, and none of that could be in the way, and then no one could sit there, because since the projector was on the ground instead of on the ceiling, then anything in front of it would block it, and it was a nightmare.
Okay, we don't want any more excuses. We want a plan.
You want a quote
Yeah.
for a new building adjacent to the library that has a nice presentation space.
That doesn't cost more than $726.03.
Doesn't cost more than $726.03. Of course, you have to save some of that money for yoga if we're going to do yoga.
Yeah, we haven't figured that out yet.
Is there
have
a
we?
meeting scheduled?
Oh, I don't think
we
we have
Not
one.
anytime soon, but the $50 a pop is the best I've been able to find, and I
Okay.
think it will be the best we'll be able to find.
Okay.
Anyway, that's a friend's
Fine.
thing.
We'll talk about that again.
Okay, are we ready to move on to director's review?
Already? I feel like we just did it.
It's
really do.
once a year.
Once a
It
year.
seems like it was
If
the
it could
last
happen
week.
between one trustee meeting and the other trustee meeting, it wouldn't seem that long.
Exactly.
Whenever you have to
And
start at one
time.
trustee meeting,
Sure.
remind people to do their jobs at the next trustee meeting, and then the next trustee meeting, remind them again, and then the following trustee meeting.
No,
and then you get all of them.
it's not gonna happen that way. What's gonna happen, and that means that we are not gonna have a quorum at the next trustees meeting. But it will be that Justin has to get his part in by the 15th of November. And then our trustees meeting is the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, which I think is the 27th, is that, yeah. And that's when we're gonna do it. If our reviews aren't in by then, we'll adjourn this meeting. I will sit here until all of you have completed the reviews. And,
Sounds good.
and
Do I need to bring coffee that night?
yes, no, vodka. Or brandy.
Did I hear Matt say he was working on a new evaluation form? I heard it, I saw a very small tidbit of a selectmen's meeting, and they were talking about his evaluation. And I thought I heard him say, well, I've looked over the form and I'm thinking of a little revision. It's such
Well,
a
I'll
small,
tell you
so if
from-
he's revising,
I said,
maybe he's got an improved, that's like too, those forms are too much, they're like too much.
Well,
They're
that was
confusing.
done
They're very
by
confusing to me.
the
Find them
employees.
confusing.
Yeah.
Developed that form.
Oh.
And then nobody refused, the employees, it was a committee of about 5 people, and they, and Mike Kaczynski set it up and stuff. He could appoint them privately or something like that. And then this committee formulated this review thing, which before it was like a joke. And now it was a little bit harder for people to do. So, you know, I think the library was the only one that
I know,
ever
if
did.
nobody's doing them,
But then I got a notice from Suzanne saying, okay, how's personnel, have they voted for how they're going to, who's in charge and who's vice chair and who's the secretary? And I said, we're in conflict. You know, there's a state law in effect that erases all whatever the personnel is supposed to be doing, and the town has never resolved it. And I said, and I've sent it to the selectmen, and I sent it to Suzanne, I sent it to Matt. And I said, until you all figure out what the personnel board is supposed to be doing, we're not gonna do anything.
Right.
I never got a response. So,
There you go.
we're doing nothing.
There you go.
And so Matt has taken it on, but hasn't consulted us at all, so forget it.
So my understanding in this process is that the first step is Justin will provide us with where this is from last, excuse me, from last year, on the performance objectives and those things.
I'll tell you how well I've met all the objectives.
Right, so that's your, I mean, we don't even really need to do this,
And there are
right?
a few things that came up during the year.
Let's
that you
just
had
do
not
5, 5, 5, 5,
anticipated.
5. We're all set.
Like, right?
Yeah.
So the attention
we'll
got
just-
diverted.
we'll
Yeah.
just sign off, there you go.
Yeah, but I don't think it's fair to the library director or fair to us, either. You know, I think you have to go through this process. I always had to do it, and I don't know, how did they do it at Holy
That's why
Cross?
I'm against it.
You never get reviewed?
We have real reviews and then we have fake reviews.
Real ones
Yeah.
and fake. And how are the fake ones?
The students,
Oh,
They're what?
the
so
student
that would be
evals.
the patrons of the library,
Right.
would be the fake reviews. So all of this is fake.
I mean,
Except for
there's
one of them.
reviews that say, doing a good job, short paragraphs, and then there's these intimidating long forms that are, they're demoralizing.
Well, talk to Matt about it if he's revising his.
Well, I don't know if he's
Revising what is-
revising it, I just
I
thought
think
he
there's
was-
too many objectives, for one thing. I think it's crazy that they have so many things there, but. We're expected to do it, right?
Does
So-
everybody else do it? The other
I-
people do it?
Whenever we asked Mike Kaczynski, he said, oh, yeah, I've gotten responses. But he would never tell us how many. He never said, yeah, the library board's the only people
But all
that
the other, like
responded."
the finance committee? Oh, not because Justin is hired. That's why
Right.
we have to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
supposedly
We're
you're,
his bosses.
yes. And so, in order to get any kind of a raise, you have to have some type of review.
Except for everybody.
But
No,
since
no.
municipal employee raises are tied to
Yeah,
what the school
it's-
I know.
negotiates with their employees, it's a moot point.
I know. Well, don't get me going on that, but. So,
Tables and
let
vote-
me
oh, he's not-
let
I'll
me
do my
bring this,
job by
let me reel
November
this in,
15th.
and let's ask, are we doing this? We're going to move forward with this, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
So-
I could write to Matt and say, is there a new form?
Okay, you can do that, and we'll.
We have to know, Justin has to know this by the 15th.
No, he's responding to last year's review.
Right, he's responding to,
Which should be done regardless.
right, responding
form
to
or not.
that, and then those responses will be made available to us, and then we put together what we see, take what he said, what we're seeing. The way it's supposed to work is that we, as the board, we meet separately. We come up with what we agree on as, here's how we're, for lack of a better term, here's how we're going to score Justin. And then Justin has his thing ready. And so then someone sits down with Justin and goes through it step by step. And then we come to an agreement between, I would representing the board and Justin as to, okay, the final thing then is, here's what the goals are for the next year. It's not like, he's not just saying, here's, I've done X, Y, and Z, so I'm great, even though you are. And it's not like us saying, oh, well, you have to do all of these things, or, we're gonna be marking you, or whatever. It has to be an agreement. He might see something as an objective or a goal, and maybe we don't see it that way. Or maybe the same thing, maybe we see something like, oh, maybe he should be fixing the front stairs, and he would say.
One or the other party might be unrealistic. about
Exactly,
that.
and then he would say, well, that's not really in my job description. So then you come
we'd
with.
say, yeah, the last sentence is in there.
Yeah, other duties as required. Yeah, I know that, fine.
And then we both have to sign it, and if we can't get to a point where we can both sign it, we have to get it mediated.
Yeah, so I really hope we can go there.
Nowhere
We don't
that
have to do that.
I don't think it says that.
Well, what happens if you can't get both people to sign it? That's what
Seriously.
I've
Put 'em
always
both
wondered.
down.
No, you do.
Both
That's, no, you're not gonna do that. So,
This is also a good exercise in long-range planning, which we can integrate into.
absolutely, absolutely. So, let's just move forward with that. That Justin will have his, he's gonna respond to this.
By the 15th.
By the 15th, we will, so that we have, that gives us
2
more
weeks.
than a week, actually, yeah, 2 weeks to review it.
And it's a good after Thanksgiving
Mhm.
chore.
You'll all be happy, full of
Fat and
tryptophan.
happy.
Right. Is the board going to meet separately before our next regular meeting, or just come to the meeting with what our, okay.
Oh,
But I would meet with,
yeah, but
And you
it
would
doesn't
meet.
have to be.
it doesn't have to be.
Before the meeting.
It
It doesn't have to be before the
You,
meeting.
you can meet it with him separately.
All right.
But it all has to be mushed together
Right. Yep,
somehow.
okay. So Justin will do his part. Then the board's job would be to read Justin's, his piece, respond. Someone collects it, well, Ellie was collecting it before, collecting everything, and then, see, that's where you have to kind of like decide what you're gonna pick and choose, because you've got all these board members. We could all come up with, each of us come up with 5 different objectives, or 5 different things that we're looking at. So we as a board have to agree on what do we see as Justin's course for the next year. So, well, let's just take it as we can. I mean, we'll just do that. We'll get that far, and like you say, if we, well, let's put it this way. Everybody should have responded, and Ellie should have the information from everybody before the next meeting.
But it's not gonna happen that way. There are gonna be some naughties among the trustees.
Nah.
Some laggards.
So, I'll be very pleasantly surprised if,
But she's threatened us beforehand,
I
so
got
that
to
there
leave,
may
I
not be
got to
laggards.
leave last year,
I can
because I
send
was the only
motivational
one
texts
you
that.
were the only one
every
that
day
sent one.
until it's done.
Alright,
Oh, Kevin's done
so
gone.
now that we're
It's just me
totally
being the laggard.
confused.
No, Joe was really bad at it.
Oh, was Joe,
Oh,
Joe
it
and
was
Kevin
Joe.
are
He
both
just
gone, I'm
couldn't
left
get us.
alone.
He just couldn't get himself around to,
Joe is the worst, I think.
God bless him. Okay, so now that we're all perfectly clear on that,
I'm writing that we're adjourning right now.
Wait, no.
Hurry!
I've got two new pieces of new business.
I'm gonna put this.
One is that the door counter got broken. It was, I'm guessing someone with like a bag or something went out the door and just like, banged it. But it got banged off the wall, and I tried to fix it, but it's no fixie. So we lost all of our door count data for the month of October, which, there's no use crying over spilled milk. I don't know that it's crucial to replace it. It's been nice to have that data. I think for the time being, our point's been made.
I think you have to keep it up, though. I really do, because people, the powers that be, don't believe that that more than 2 people enter the library every day. And you have to, your proof is the door counter. This is how many people actually do come in here, so.
So do we want to replace the door counter?
Yeah. How much do they cost?
I don't, there's different tiers of qualities of door counters. And like the last one I got, it was like the last model that they were selling, and there were only 6 left, and I think I got it for like in the $200 range. That's pretty cheap for them. I can try to find something like that again. If you want to give me an upper limit, if I find something satisfactory before the next meeting, then I'll try to get it installed.
By November 1st?
Well, it's not going to happen by November 1st.
Tomorrow? Oh, it's tonight?
Yeah,
It's
today's the
Thursday.
30th.
It's not gonna,
Yeah, it's Thursday. Why not?
So we've lost October. We've probably
it's just a day from now.
Yeah.
got to order the bloody thing.
Has to research it.
Or you're gonna stand
Paper
at
on
the
it.
door, Ellie, with a little piece of paper, and you're gonna keep marking.
Oh, we keep one of the little
people
clickers, because they
Yeah.
make the little clickers.
Not me.
But I can investigate the door counter, and do you want me to buy a good one if I can find one that I'm satisfied
What kind
with?
of range you
For
talking
not
about?
more
Is it
than
like
$400?
I was gonna say
or-
400. Are we good with that?
Yeah.
But the cheaper the better.
The cheaper the better.
The cheaper the
Music
better.
programs.
Okay, so.
6 Debs. 7 Debs.
I will try my best to make it cheaper.
But I think you're right, Ellie, because you never know when you're gonna need that information. You're not gonna have it just when you need it.
Yeah. Oh, no, I think it's very, bango.
Right.
We are busy.
It's
And I want to find one that will retain the data even if the battery goes dead.
Don't you
so
write
that
it
we
down
don't
every day?
Lose.
We used
No,
to do that.
we do it. I've turn it over monthly.
Yeah, but if you don't do it that way, if you just write it down every day, that's what I used to do. The staff coming in that was the first thing they had to do was reset
Right,
the
we want it
calendar and
separated
write it down on the calendar.
By day of the week on here.
Yeah, I think that would be good, because then.
Monday so many, Tuesday so many,
Okay.
Wednesdays. No, I'm kidding you.
No, that's what we
I
used to
do
do.
not want to, I am putting you on, no.
He loves
I am
data, he'll
being
do it.
ridiculous.
There's gonna be
I mean, I used to do it that way.
Come on.
Yeah.
I would love to do that. If I tell my staff to do that, they're going to roll their eyes.
No.
If I say the trustees say we have to do it,
No,
then we do it.
that's ridiculous.
I don't see what, I mean, all right, you do the book drop.
Isn't there
You-
technology that can just count it and every day?
Then you're looking at more like $1,000, $1,500.
But you go to the calendar, it says 332 people, you write it on the calendar, on a piece of paper on the calendar, that's what I used to do, and that's the way, and then I would use that calendar to do the ARIS report. And I divide it in half, because you have people going in and people going out.
What we could do is spend $10,000 of our grant money to get a state-of-the-art door counter and security system that has that heat mapping feature, and then we can tell like how many people go to specific Dewey numbers
That'd be excellent.
per day.
Digital
Maybe we
one's
should
like
have a
100.
counter on the
Really?
toilet. How many people use the
A flush
toilet?
counter. Oh gosh, that would have been
Now
good during
it's too much
Oktoberfest
data
too.
Then you just spell it.
But now we have a lot of people coming in like the back doors too, because whenever we have the
Children's
like
book.
the children's programs, Deb just leaves the back door ajar so that people can come straight in from the
And
parking
that-
lot.
that
So do I
happened
put
with
one
the
down there too,
foraging.
or
Yeah.
That's true.
it gets messy.
Yeah, digital one's like 100.
A good one?
It's got like 95% accuracy. But it doesn't record the what you want. Like, it doesn't tell you like, you know, at the end of the day you just gotta count.
Yeah.
So you would have to write it down, and it'll store it for you.
Attention, this counter is very sensitive to changes in light. Carefully read the description and in case of doubt, ask us.
You used to, or back in the day, you used to be able to borrow them from the region too, when we had regions.
Yeah, like we did with the temperature loggers
Oh, yeah.
and whatnot.
Yeah.
I will poke this. Not sure. I sent it back. It was junk. You have to read.
You're always gonna get at least one
Yeah.
person that, you know, is not happy with the disabilities.
We need to be doing a better job of discriminating.
Exactly.
I thought we were doing a really good job of it.
So, do I have a $400 ceiling on replacing door counter? If I can get one in the top and bottom, so we know, or
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that would be sort of a good point that, well, our bottom drawer is used this amount of times, and our top drawer is used more or less, and so therefore we need the cement done more on the front steps. But that back door, the wooden, whatever, what's?
the bottom.
Yeah, that doesn't, that's not
It
too
needs
great.
something, and I don't know what it needs. I need to talk to somebody about what it needs, but
Yeah.
it might need like rubbed down with linseed oil or something.
Oh, I think the thing's about to break. It just felt that way to me when I brought the tent, I borrowed the tent.
Oh, are you talking about the frame around the door?
Well,
or the
it
door
would be the
itself?
bottom.
Because the bottom of the door, the fire door itself, the bottom is kind of starting to deteriorate because
Yeah.
it's wood and the elements are starting to take their toll. And it needs, I need to do something to it. I'm just not sure what. I need to talk to somebody who understands these things. The frame itself, like the door frame, is not securely attached to the brick masonry anymore. So we try to minimize the use of the back door because if it pops out, then you have to wiggle it back in and then pound the frame back into the structure of the library with a rubber mallet before you can close the door again.
Oh, that's just
Nice.
It's it needs love.
Maybe we need that before the door counter.
Maybe. Maybe we need a door before we need the door counter.
Well, if it gets
It's
to
a
the
fairly
point
new
where we can't
door,
like
so.
use it at all, then as long as you can still get out, it's a fire door, which is it is serving its purpose. It's kind of nice to just be able to run in there in the morning though, and without having to go around.
You said you had two things?
The other thing is I would like to purchase a Kobo to play with.
A Kobo, I like it.
Oh, you have a Kobo?
What is a
And
Kobo?
they
Which
just
one?
made overdrive available on, I think I have the H2O.
So you have the Ara H2O?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I want her to bring her Kobo to the
Yeah.
library
Yeah, bring it in.
so I can play with it.
How do you
And
spell Kobo?
Kobo.
That's like book.
Yeah, it's oh, it is like book,
Yeah,
just with the
it's-
letters. It was
What's that
the
word? There's a word for that.
how, no, I don't remember what the word is.
Anyway,
But what does
it's
it do?
it's an e-reader. It's the e-reader. You know, like Amazon has the Kindle, Barnes and Noble has the Nook.
Yeah.
Kobo is what.
oh, they have
Crap.
Walmart now, right?
No, it was
They just
the
make it
Borders.
very-
Kobo was what
Oh,
Borders
Borders,
had.
right.
When Borders went out of business, the company Rakuten, which manufactures Kobo, got bought by the same umbrella company that owns Overdrive, and so now you can get Kobos that integrate automatically into the Overdrive collection. And I would like to see what that looks like, how intuitive it is, and if it would be worth it to get some to circulate. Because we tried circulating the Kindles for a while, but that was a disaster because you can put some stuff on the Kindles, but you can put it on exactly 5 Kindles. And then you're stuck with it on these 5 Kindles. And so if someone wants another book, then you can buy it, but you can only put it on 5 Kindles. I mean, it was not good. But if I could configure a Kobo where it has an overdrive, like a generic overdrive account, like what we are doing with the schools, so a patron can just take it and then download anything that's available into overdrive on it and keep it for 2 weeks, then I think that would be awesome. The thing is, I don't know if I can make it do that without playing with one.
How much do they cost?
It's
$180.
not terribly
Oh, so that's
intuitive, but
Is that cheap?
I don't know. It's on the cheaper end of the Kobos. I mean, you can get a
Yeah.
Kindle for a lot cheaper, but
Yeah.
overall
you
they're
can't do
more
library
expensive.
things with the Kindle because they're just making it harder all the time.
Really?
They don't want you to.
Yeah,
They
makes
want you to
sense.
use Audible. They want you to
Yeah,
use, you know,
makes
the Amazon Prime.
The way I've seen it so far, and it just got, they just updated the software maybe a
Mhm.
month ago on the one I have. But it's integrated with Kobo's bookstore because they want to encourage you to buy the book. So it's, I don't know if there's a way to set it up so it would,
There has to be a way to
Be-
like do parental controls where you
Yes.
can't buy things, but you can.
yeah.
But if you'd be willing to let me poke
Yeah,
at it for a
definitely.
while, because I know that one did not have the overdrive integration functionality until the latest update.
Yes. It was only maybe a month ago or something. But it's so exciting.
I know. I really want to be able to check out e-readers to people that are intuitive to use and be like,
Yeah.
okay, you can have access to our entire overdrive collection on this device, instead of, you know, okay, well, I can check out this Kindle to you, but this is what's on it, and that's what's on it. It's all books that we put on it 5 years ago, and
Right. Yes, but at first it was only the most expensive model that had integration,
Mhm.
which was pretty expensive, but now the cheaper
Yes.
models are.
that's like $275, I think.
Can you write on or take notes or anything?
Hmm?
Can you?
No, it's
just read?
strictly an e-reader, yeah. It's not a tablet. But yeah, I'll bring it in.
That's the thing is, you know, if we had intuitive devices we could lend
Yeah.
to people that they could use to access digital collections, that would reach an entirely new
Didn't
demographic
think
of
about
people.
that, yeah.
But as it is, you know, you can't just like lend someone an unlocked Kindle because God knows what they're going to do with it. They return it and, oh, they've bought, you know, half the Amazon store on this Kindle account. And now the town's stuck with it. But then if they are locked down to the point where you can't do anything with it other than what's preload on it, then every time the thing comes in, you have to be like, okay, can I add any new books to this right now? And it has to be done to each individual device, and then no one's happy.
Yeah.
But if we could make the Kobo work, then that would be really cool. And it's one of those cases where the company doesn't have a vested interest in not making it work.
Right.
So if they start sniffing out a market there, then that would be cool. And CWMRs in Massachusetts and what our libraries are doing have been driving a lot of overdrive development. Like they didn't have the capability of doing this sort of advantage
Right.
and umbrella stuff until we started saying, you need to make this happen for us. So we have some power there because we are, you know, we're a purchasing power
Yeah,
when it comes to their
definitely.
service.
Yeah. That's exciting.
Okay, so that's between you two.
Yep, I'll bring it
Bring
So that saved us some dough initially.
in. Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Now can we go home?
Does anyone have one more thing they need to say? Okay.
We could talk about Kobo for another.
Yeah, I mean, I've never done anything like that, so, and my iPod is about to die on me, and I don't want to get another one of those, so this sounds like it's more reasonable. Do they do audios on it?
I don't know if it does audio.
Okay, find that out.
I don't do audio, so I don't think so. I don't think so. Maybe some of the newer ones do.
I do my audio on my phone.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that. So I can't figure out, I can figure out how to put it on my phone, but I just don't like to, because I'm not married to my phone, really, so.
You've got to get yourself a good pair of Bluetooth headphones. So
Why?
you can put in your headphones, and they have like a range of, if you get good ones, then you can get like a range of like 25, 30 feet. So you can like leave your phone somewhere, load up your audio book, you're listening to it on your headphones, and you can walk around and
Yeah,
do stuff.
well, that's
with-
what I do with the iPod. I just keep it in my pocket
Mhm.
and listen to it, so that's nifty for me. Okay,
All right,
all right, so
do you have
15
a-
minutes later.
all right. A motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, second. All those in favor?
Bye.
All right.